All right. Good morning and namaste to all. So let's start with the prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhuvava Swaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. अस्तो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओम. So today's topic or the book is Narad Bhakti Sutra, Tuesday. So let's start with verse number 13. Okay. Anyatha patitya shankhya. Anyatha means or else. Patitya shankhya, there is the fear of a fall. So ashanka to fall. Okay, fear of fall. Fear of a fall from where? From a spiritual path, from a devotional path. Okay. And I told you last time the sutras are connected with each other. These are the beads. So this is connected with the previous verse. Previous verse was connected to the previous verse. So in the previous verse, he is telling us that the teachings or the preachings of the scriptures, hold on to it. Do not let it go. Don't think that you have risen beyond it. Okay, time will come when you don't need the scriptures. But initially you need the teachings of the scriptures, otherwise you don't know what to do, what not to do. So this is what he is trying to tell us. Lord Krishna, in verse number 23 of chapter number 16, that's what he said over there too. Ya shastra vidhim utsrijye vartate kam karat. Na sa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na pramgati. So make sure that you are following the teachings of the scriptures. Otherwise, you will slip. You won't have a happiness here and you will not reach the supreme abode either. So this is what he is trying to tell us, because in a couple of verses before this, he said that when you are in that ecstasy, you are beyond the bodily acknowledgement. Then you might do certain things, but that's a different state. Don't try to act like that. Don't think you are above and beyond the scriptures and the Guru. So he's warning us. See, just like we often hear that you don't need a ladder when you're on the top of the roof. But if you're not on top of the roof and you just let go of the ladder, what will happen? You will fall down flat on your face. And this is what happens when we think we don't need a Guru. We don't need God. We don't need the scriptures. We are above and beyond everything. We fall flat. That is Patitya Shankhya. Okay? Because there is a continuous pull of the mind and the senses, which will bring a devotee down into the old habits. Old habits of living a life of the sense enjoyments, and which is prompted entirely by his ego and egocentric desires. So we think, no, we have reached that place, but actually it's the ego which is really talking. So that's why he is telling us live in obedience to the dictates of the Shastras, scriptures. This is the mode of a life for a devotee. We got to just make sure that that's why the daily studies, satsang, all these things are important for a devotee. Okay, so anybody who ignores it, the junctions of the Shastra, and follows the urges of the desires, can neither attain perfection, nor happiness, nor supreme state, according to Bhagavad Gita. Because in the end, this is a false devotee. Just like in that bhajan the other day, Sunday, Ghamandi and Pakhandi, right? False devotee will fall from the grace, peace, and will just only run after the sense enjoyment. So follow the moral codes and spiritual exercises, which is laid down by everlasting rishis for the guidance of the sadhak. Okay. So otherwise, this animal nature of us, see our basic nature, which takes us away from us, that's the animal nature. It is always in the heart of a human being. So we got to be very careful. We have to save ourselves, okay, from these tragic pitfalls on the path of divine progress. And sometimes we just want to copy our gurus also. We got to do what Guru says, not just copy the Guru blindly. We don't know where Guru is, what state of mind Guru has. Even in the worldly sphere also, I'm sure you have heard this story about the example of the Einstein and his driver. Let me tell you again if you have not heard it. Because the driver will always accompany him and he'll go in the hall also where Einstein will give the speech. After a while, driver thought that, hey, what is special about it? I can give that speech too. So one time he told Einstein that I can give the lecture also today. Einstein said, okay, all right. I'll just sit in the back, nobody will know, and I will just, you just give the lecture. So he just repeated whatever Einstein said. But he forgot that there's a question and answer session at the end of the lecture. So somebody asked the question and driver didn't know now. What did he say? He said, this question is so insignificant, even my driver can answer. Like Einstein, he said he will answer. So this is what happens to us also. Okay, so if it can happen in the secular area, in the sacred area, it will definitely happen, and that becomes the fall. Okay, so to protect our devotion, we should first accept the scriptures, follow the scriptures, and increase our devotion. Okay, so otherwise there's a fall. Now in the next verse, Narad is telling us about our daily duties. What are we supposed to do? Loko api ta ev dev kintu bhojan adi vyaparaha tu sharir dharnavati. Loko api, the social practices, api means also. Okay, the social practices. Tav dev, only to that extent. Kintu means but. Bhojan adi vyaparaha, activities such as eating. Bhojan adi. Tu means indeed sharir dharnavati, as long as the body exists. So he's talking about this physical body, as long as it exists, you got to feed it. The worldly duties in the various social contexts are also to be performed only to that extent. That means limited. Social activities limited. Do not extend yourself. Do not make it further elaborate, the social activities. Very basic. But activities such as eating, etc., indeed will continue as long as the body exists. So you need to give the food to the body. So we are told earlier that worldly behavior is to be guided by the rules laid down in the scriptures till the body consciousness leaves the seeker completely. But eating, sleeping, etc. will continue so long as the body exists with us. That's a duty of a devotee. Maintaining of this body. Do not neglect it. Even though we are not the body, but we live in the body. We cannot do the sadhana without the body. Body is a vehicle for the soul. Got to remember that. Right now, sure, we are in a materially contained state. We have love for God, but small amount. Whenever body suffers, we forget God. So we need to protect the body. So Lord Krishna also, he did say, do not neglect this body. Moderation in everything. Yukta har viharasya yukta cheshtat se kartaso. Yukta swapanav bodhasya yogo bhavati dukha. So moderation in everything for maintaining the body. Do not neglect the basic things. Because this body will continue as long as you have a prarabdha attached to this body. Okay. See, with the help of the sadhana, sure, the sanchit karam you can extinguish. Kriyaman karam, also you are doing it the way you are not putting any more impressions on our chitta. But the prarabdha karam, this body has taken up this shape, and now it's on the flight to exhaust the prarabdha. It's almost like an arrow has been shot. That is a prarabdha karam. Arrow has been shot. Whether it will hit a cow or a tiger, that's a prarabdha. So that you have taken this body according to the prarabdha. And you have to deal with it. So that's why he says, do feed it. Do take care of it. So a true devotee lives a life of total surrender, entirely centered in God. He is experiencing the God in his own heart. Everything else becomes unimportant. The most important thing is connection with the divine. And such a devotee becomes totally committed to a God-centered existence. That's what he's trying to tell us. So do not ignore the body. Do not get attached to the body. Use the body for a further evolvement. Okay? So in that sense, so don't identify with the body that I want to lose this, I want to gain this, I want to make it this. No, whatever is, just maintain it, take care of it at this point. Okay? Use all that energy, all the time to increase the love for God. So I told you last time, the first 6 sutras, there was a definition of divine love. Then sutra number 7 to 14, he's talking about this uniqueness of love divine. It's opening it up more for us. Now, the next section, Sutra number 15 to 24, is going to give us a definition of this love divine, definition of bhakti. I mean, look at it, how beautifully he is opening it up for us. Normally we say bhakti is your love God, but he is going to give us definitions of bhakti after telling us how important this bhakti is. So now in verse number 15, he is telling us there are many ways you can understand it. Tat lakshanani vachyante nana mat bhedat. Tat lakshanani means lakshan is characteristics. So it's characteristics. It's what? Bhakti's characteristics. Vachyante, described or put into words. Because this love, how do we put love into words? So he says it has been done. Nana mat bhedat. Different opinions. There are different opinions about explaining this because it's very hard to explain. Because in a definition, we got to put the words. So he's going to tell us, according to the different rishis, how they talk about this love, God's love. So Bhakti's characteristics are being described now. Due to the existence of different opinions. So various definition. That's why I said this section is about the definition of divine love, according to the different schools of thought. Okay. You will see that main characteristic remains ever the same. Each teacher or each rishi comes to emphasize one or the other as different aspects in his declaration of the definition. But the main characteristic stays the same. So that's why it looks like that there are so many different definitions. See, love is essentially something which is a subjective experience. Love, subjective. That's why it's hard to fully and effectively handled by language. Words fail to define it. Even a worldly love, over here we are talking about divine love. Worldly love is also very hard to explain. But there are some main features of its, how we recognize it. There are different stages. Each stage emphasizes one or the other of these factors more emphatically in their definition of the love divine. That's why we have a crop of different definitions. That's why it's really interesting to study them all. Next few verses he is going to go through it with us so that we can have a full understanding of love, which we are trying to enhance in our heart. So these are almost like a symptoms of the bhakti too. There are symptoms of worldly love. Okay, and there are different symptoms. Different people, they have different symptoms for worldly love. So the same way, divine love also. Bhakti is a vast ocean. No one saint realizes all aspects of bhakti in completion. So each devotee realizes bhakti differently or engages in bhakti differently. So this does not mean that one person's realization is correct and the other's is wrong. You've heard about the example of an elephant in a room. And 10 blind people or people with blindfold never saw the elephant. And they were, after touching the elephant, they were asked to describe the elephant. Wherever they touched, they said elephant is like that. Whether it's if they touch the tail, it's like a rope. If they touch the ears, it's like a fan. If they touch the side, it's like a wall. So wherever they touch, they all had the experience of the elephant, but according to their own touch, the same way this bhakti is too. That's why these rishis, they describe it differently. Because in words, it's hard to put. But people, ordinary people, they fight about it. They think only our way is the right way. Others are wrong. No, they're all right. It's a lack of understanding about what religion is or what God is, make us fight. Or make us even argue, waste time. That's why we say that my religion is the right religion. Or my deity is the only deity. And we even try to convert others. That's all anti-devotion. It's like you are pulling somebody else out where they are growing and hampering their growth. So Narad ji is saying that this bhakti is of different kinds and different varieties. So each acharya has described bhakti in his or her own way. Because nobody can describe infinite kinds of devotion. Infinite kind. There is a story about this saint. He went into the cave, gave up everything else. Everything is given up, but he is sitting in the cave with a broken mirror and a comb. Every day he'll make sure that he's looking okay, his hair is well kept. Somebody asked him, you gave up everything else. Why are you doing this? He said, when my lover comes, I want to make sure that I look reasonable. That is a bhakti. He knew his lover will come. Somebody can say, no, this is wrong. He is attached. No, he is waiting for his lover. Just like Shabri waited. She waited with those berries, with the flowers on the path. Every day she will do that. That was her bhakti. So there's no right or wrong, as long as you have a love for that divine and you don't put somebody else down. This saint did not tell others to do that. He said, I am doing it. If you want to do it, fine, but I'm doing it because I'm waiting here in my dark cave because my Lord will come. Okay, so that's why they say, Nana mat bhedaha. There are so many different ways. And they're all correct. Nana mat bhedat. He's not saying it's wrong. He says it's right to have many different ways. Okay. So now with number 16, he's telling us according to the son of Parashar, Rishi Parashar. And you know that who is the son of Rishi Parashar? Ved Vyasji. Puja adishu anuragaha iti parasharya. In the worship of the Lord with deep love and firm attachment, anurag, thus declares the son of Parashar, Shri Ved Vyas. Puja adishu, in the worship of the God, puja. Anuragaha, deep love. So love which has a firm attachment. Anurag. We have a rag or anurag with the world over here. Love, deep love for God, anurag. Iti means Das Parasharya, son of Rishi Parashar. So we have Shri Ved Vyasa's own definitions in the Puranas, because he is the author of the Purans. He says the deep love with ardent attachment in the worship of the Lord. That is called Bhakti, he says. Okay, Puja Adish. All engagements with the world around that encourage the unbroken flow of thoughts towards the Lord. So you are using the material things in puja. We are using the deity also. We are using the lamp also. We are using several other material, the samagri we call it, whatever you are using for puja. But all that puja is enhancing our love for our God. So that's why he said, Puja Adishu Anuragaha. Because a devotee strives to approach the Lord of his heart, whatever is available for the practice, for the sadhana, whatever is available. Some places they use, if the mango trees are there, they use the mango leaves and the mango fruit and even the mango branches to do the havan. Where the coconut is available, they use the coconut. Whatever is available for the puja, they use that. Some places they use rose petals, other places they use marigold petals. It doesn't matter what you are using, but all those material things you are using to enhance your love for God. And they are using their body also, speech also, and the mind also. Because in order to do the puja, you need a physical body. You need a mind which is well connected with those feelings. You need the speech also. So worship is an act. Puja is an act where the organs of perception and action and the mind, they are brought together. Okay, so that's what puja is. And what are we doing? We have an altar. So in that altar we see God. So the sadhak gets his inspiration from the contemplation of God's beauty, love, grace. And this kind of a mind, it's dancing peacefully. And this dance is, there's a love in that dance through a set of sense organs. And this devotee is perceiving nothing but Lord's beauty and presence, and expresses, there is a surging love in the heart at that time. Even though the organs of actions are working, you are doing the offerings, the ahutis, you are chanting the name of God, but inside there is a love which is surging. So that's how these organs of actions, they become totally engrossed in the worshipping of the lover. And sometimes these emotions are so powerful because with these emotions, you are adoring your lover. You are invoking the Lord of the universe. And that is a true worship of God. So you're employing all of this. Sometimes the ritual could be complicated. Sometimes it may not be. Okay, it's not a more complicated the ritual. The deeper the emotion, you got to look at the emotion part. Sometimes in the emotion part, you even forget the ritual. Our own Guruji, Swami Mulakharajji, when he will do the arti, nightly arti or morning arti, even though the arti which we do at the ashram, it takes half an hour. It will go on for several hours because he'll keep on repeating the same thing. Somebody will say, why are you doing it? You're going to make the God mad. No, God is looking at the love in the devotee's heart. It's not how it's said, like how it's spoken, or whether it's spoken serially or not. You'll just go back and forth. And that's where the tradition of most of the places in India, they do the prayers first at night and then they eat food. The ashram has a lot of devotees over there. They have to eat food also. There's a langar. At our ashram, first langar and then arti. Finish up with the food. Be done with the kitchen. Be done with everything. And then just get engrossed into the arti nightly prayers. Because it might last several hours. Because you don't know how you're going to get absorbed into the love of your God. That's where it started like that. Or even morning also, breakfast first and then arti. Okay? So, devotee's mind should be flooded with the devotion of the Lord. The lights or the lamps at the altar, the fragrance of the incense, the enchanting music in the hymns, or the clean and cool atmosphere, they should really leave a lingering taste of the love of divine, not for the things. They're all there so that you are so attracted towards your lover. So the words of the chants and hymns in the prayers, or even the attitude of the surrender and faith, that's what bhakti is. Okay, it's not the hymns alone, it's the love through the hymns, love through the beauty, love through the lamp. That's why I always tell you when we do the havan, God is there. We are inviting God in the form of fire. Don't just look at the fire. Say God in there. My own mother used to say, he'll go into samadhi whenever there was a havan. And often she'll tell us when we were little, that God comes, he accepted my offering. So that's why I always tell you, when you make the offering, make sure that you offer it properly. Don't throw it. God is there to accept whether you can see God or not. But your love should be able to bring you to that level where you can see God is ready to accept your offering. So idea is to see God everywhere. So puja really means that. That anurag is really that. That's why in Bhagavad Puran, Rishi Vyas, he mentioned 8 kinds of an idol you can make. With the 8 different things can be used. Because some people say, no, it has to be marble. Some people say it has to be stone, or it has to be a precious stone. He says stone, wood, metal, earth, paint, sand, and even mind. Whatever is available. Shelly, daru, mai lohi, lekya, lepya lekya jasaimati, manomai, manimai, pratima, ashtuvidha samrita. Anything which is available to you, doesn't matter. You're just using that to bring your God so that you connect with him. God is there, but somehow your mind doesn't think that God is there. So God really sees our heart. You create divine sentiments. You offer your seva. And the result is that it's like a flood of knowledge, flood of love, divine love, which flows out of it. You are all familiar with the Dhanna Jat. He became God realized just from that little stone. Attachment to that stone, thinking that this is God, he became God realized. So this is what we need to do. When we do our daily prayers, puja adi, we all do. We should do if you don't do it, morning, evening. This is a very powerful way to really connect with God. Okay, so meditation on the form, whatever deity you have, but only one deity, not too many deities. You cannot love, even in the worldly sense, we cannot love two people with that level of emotion. Over here, we want to just have the utmost love only with one. That's called Ananya Bhakti. Okay. Let's look at another rishi, who is called Maharishi actually. There's a rishi and a Maharishi. Maharishi. So Katha Adishu iti Gargaha. Katha Adishu. In the stories of the Lord, Katha. Every Monday when we go through Bhagavad Puran, those are Kathas. Bhagavad Puran is a Katha. So in the stories of the Lord, iti means thus, Garga, that's a Maharishi Garg. So a great attachment to listening to the stories of the glories, etc., is bhakti. So first was anurag with the puja, now anurag with the listening to the stories. He says according to Maharishi Garg. So instrument of speech is mainly employed. So importance of the speech aspect of bhakti sadhana is firmly emphasized by Maharishi Garg. This is like when you listen to the katha, if there are tears flowing down from your eyes, rolling down to the cheeks, other devotees, they see it. They see the love in your heart. It gets transported actually. They feel that love too. They are transported to the state of blissfulness. It is that intoxicating. And in that intoxication, you forget yourself. You start singing also. So this is how important the katha is. Speech aspect of our personality. So each devotee finds a different way to express his devotion and revel in it. So Vyasji in the physical aspect, Sage Garg is in a speech aspect. Chanting the hymns, singing the glories. Even in Bhagavad Puran, we read, I think a few months ago, a story about King Ambarish. He did a lot of tapasya. God came. He said, ask a boon. What did he ask for? He said, I do not want anything but 100 years to hear your glories. This is the ras we get from Katha. So 100 years, he said, 2 years are not enough. I want 100 years so that I just keep on listening to the Katha. Na kamyen nath tvayate na kvochit yat yushmaha charna amb yujasas. This is, I want only 100 years. And Hanumanji is another great example of this. Don't we say that? Wherever Ram Katha is going on, Hanumanji is there. He comes there. That's why there's a seat allotted for Hanumanji. And at the end, there's a common saying, Katha visarjat hote hai, chalo veer Hanuman. Because he is there. So we say, okay, Hanumanji, it's over now. Okay? So he wants to listen to the Ram Katha. So that's why this Maharishi Garg, and there is a true story about this. Somewhere in Bombay, in a temple, Panditji always said that, and there's some educated person, educated in the worldly sense, he said, Panditji, you always say this. You're just making a fool of ourselves. That Hanumanji comes and you say, Hanumanji, let's go now. He doesn't come. I don't believe in it. Prove it to me. So Panditji said, okay, all right. I'll prove it to you tomorrow. So he goes home and he didn't know what to do, how to prove it to this person. All night he prayed to Hanumanji. So next day, when the katha started, again he had the asan for Hanumanji. And at the end, he was about to say that, and that guy came, he said, you told me that you'll prove it to me today. So Panditji said, okay, lift this asan. That gentleman tried his best to lift the asan. He could not lift the asan. Hanumanji was on it. He tried all his might. So God is everywhere. If our faith is there, we'll see these miracles also. So that was it. Other people could not see it. He could not see it. But with the Panditji's devotion and the faith, Hanumanji was there. And he could not lift the asan because Hanumanji was on it. So attachment to listening to katha is the symptom of bhakti. What happens is when we keep on pouring the name of God through our ears, whatever impurity we have in our mind, it will fly away. Impurities are there. We cannot say that we don't have any impurities. Through the senses, we have absorbed many impurities. Whether it's attachment to this world, or whether it's an egoism or a greed or the desires or the pride, whatever we have, all those impurities are inside us and we need to get those out. So if we keep on pouring through these senses, or keep on doing the actions with the help of the karam, these karamindriya, sense action organs, we will remove the impurities. Love for God is automatic then. So from these scriptures, this is what we learn. So katha adishu iti garga. So ras, right now we have a karn ras for worldly things. We got to develop a karn ras for God's name. It's good to listen to the stories of Bhagats with a divine love. Let me start the next one, because this is another great bhakti saint. Rishi Shandilya. What does he say about it? And then we'll talk about it next time. Atamrati avirodhen iti Shandilya. Atamrati avirodhen. Without a hindrance to the constant reveling in the bliss of the self. Atamrati. Iti means thus, Shandilya, sage, Shandilya. The devotion for God, which is not opposed to attachment to the inner self, is a true devotion, according to sage Shandilya. Okay, so we'll open it up more next week, this verse. So now if you have any questions, we can talk about it. But let me do the Purnamada mantra and then discussion, and then Kamla is going to sing bhajan today. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much. So any question, Jyoti?
Neetu?
Oh, okay. One second. Let me.
It's okay. You don't need to turn the video on, Nitu. That's fine. You can ask the
No, I
question.
don't know. I'm as long as you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
You said about the bhakti.
Mm-hmm.
We should have bhakti. We should develop bhakti for Lord.
Mm-hmm.
How is the bhakti developed or cultivated? How does it grow?
How does it grow?
Yeah,
That's what they are telling us. You can just do the puja first.
I see.
Do the puja. Be very regular about your puja.
Okay.
And when you do the puja, tell your mind,
Put your mind.
God is there.
Okay.
God is there waiting for me.
Okay.
Okay? Because in puja, what do? We are thanking God and we are asking God.
Uh-huh.
Whether we need something for a physical body or whether we need some um, uh, worldly thing we need, we can ask God.
Uh-huh.
But remember that God is there.
Okay.
So morning, evening puja is recommended. Sitting down. Some people say, I just do it while taking a bath. No, that doesn't count.
Uh-huh.
Sitting down, taking some time, special time out. It doesn't have to be elaborate every day. But
Uh-huh.
if you feel like doing elaborate, that's fine too. But at least 15 minutes sitting down in the altar, at the feet of the altar, and praying to God. Any mantras, any language, doesn't matter. You just, feeling should be that God is present and I'm talking to God. I'm thanking God, and I am, if there's a need to ask, asking God. That is a very first step.
Okay.
And then the weekends are like a weekly satsang is recommended.
Okay.
And luckily, thanks to COVID, we are doing it every day these days.
Yeah.
Right? So these classes, this is like a satsang.
Yeah.
But this should not take place of your daily twice puja. Okay? So that's where we started, Neetu. Okay?
So anything sitting in not just mantra praying, talking, communicating, any ritual like personal.
Any ritual, whatever ritual you were grown up with or whatever is dear to you.
Okay.
Rituals are important because through rituals we connect. That's why he said puja. Vyasji said puja. In the puja, what we do, we have a altar. We make sure that altar looks pretty.
Yeah.
Then we have a plate over there in a Hindu way of praying. We have a lamp there. We have an incense there. So while we are doing all that, we are putting the flowers there. All of this is a part of that puja. And we are thinking about God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while our body is busy doing this, our mind is getting attached to the love of God. So this is starting.
For your children, we do that with so much love and devotion.
Yeah, that's how we do it, right? That's how we got to do with love. Just make sure in the morning when you eat something, if you want to do it, first thing you want to put in the mouth, take it to the temple, offer it to God.
Okay. Okay.
Every day there should be something offering to God. Don't just do it like, oh, I'm doing it, I'm just saying the name. No. Physically put it into a best bowl. I have a silver bowl over here.
Uh-huh.
Different sizes of silver bowls. I use it only for my God. I put something in there and take it to God. I say, God.
Okay.
And imagine that he's eating. And whatever is left over, you eat. That's a prashad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So these are the rituals. This is what Vyasji said.
Yeah.
puja adishu.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, good question, Neetu. Yes, Jyoti.
Thank you.
I don't know the name of the person using iPhone. Your last number, yeah.
Oh, that is Prem. That's Prem. Yes, Prem. Unmute. Unmute.
Hershey, namaskar ji.
Namaskar.
Okay.
Hershey, I'm sometimes confused about, we also say, let thy will be done. And then we also say, who else are we going to ask if you don't ask God?
Yeah.
Which practice is more,
Okay.
more,
Thy will be done. That is when we have a full faith.
I see.
Okay. So you want to reach to that level. But right now, if we have lot of things going on in the worldly level, instead of asking the worldly people, it's good to ask God.
Okay.
But ultimately, yeah, whatever happens, God, yeah, thy will be done. That's fine with me. I accept it. But that kind of a faith, it matures in time. Okay.
So if I say now, even though I have a wish for something, but then I feel like, okay, I say, okay, whatever you think is right, I do want this, but whatever you think is okay with me because that's what your will is that a okay way to pray, or should I just be honest about my
To me, I
wishing
think
something?
being honest is more important. Otherwise, you are your mind is at two different places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't keep the mind at two places. That's why there's a friction comes. It's okay.
Yeah.
God, you're my father, you're my mother, I'm asking you. There's nothing wrong in it. But ultimately, this sentiment evolves into that no matter what happens. God, you are with me. I don't even care whether
So
I get
that should be from really like
yes.
from within.
That is a spontaneous stage. Okay.
Okay.
We don't
Okay.
we cannot struggle towards that stage.
Okay.
Okay. We grow into that stage.
That's a good way to say we shouldn't struggle to that stage.
No, if you are struggling,
yeah.
if you are struggling,
Okay.
then what
Yeah.
happens is you are going front, back. All you are doing is wasting a lot of energy.
Okay.
Okay. So that's
Thank
what my
you.
opinion is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, Jyoti.
Thank you.
I think we're good.
We are good. All right. Good. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Always two things come to my mind when there are not too many questions. Either I did a good job, or I put you to sleep.
You're great.
Okay. All right. But either one is fine, right? Kamla, if you can.